Prior to their Week 18 matchup against the LA Rams, San Francisco was able to clinch a first round bye, meaning we were able to get a glimpse into some of San Francisco's depth. And with that, many players impressed me, but maybe none more so than Darrell Luter Jr., the rookie corner selected in the 5th round by San Francisco. So in this video, I wanted to examine Darrell Luter Jr.'s career up to this point, as well as dive into his most recent film against the Rams to see what San Francisco has, and if they have a potential starter on their hands. Starting out with his early days, Darrell Luter Jr. attended Oak Grove High School in Mississippi. And while many of his teammates were recruited, Darrell Luter Jr. just wasn't, but he did commit ultimately to Pearl River Community College. Luter Jr. played at Pearl River from 2018 to 2019, being named a second-team All-Conference selection as a sophomore. Coming out of Pearl River Community College, 24/7 Sports had Luter Jr. ranked as a 3-star recruit. So even though Darrell Luter Jr. wasn't seen as a starter coming out of high school and college, after his time at Pearl River, he was considered a top 40 cornerback across the entire nation. So naturally, after graduating from community college, Darrell Luter Jr. had several universities interested in him, including the likes of Houston and South Alabama. Ultimately, Darrell Luter Jr. did decide South Alabama over his other options. During his first year with Alabama, Luter Jr. appeared in all 11 games, and he was able to tie the team for lead in tackles among the players at the cornerback position. But honestly, Luter Jr.'s true breakout year came in 2021, where he was placed 3rd in FBS in pass breakups. He also had 4 interceptions on the year, only allowing receptions on 26.7% of the passes thrown at him. During this year, PFF named him second-team All-American selection. As a senior in 2022, he recorded 7 pass breakups and 1 interception. And while initially this sounds like Darrell Luter Jr. might have regressed, the truth is quarterbacks just decided no longer to target Darrell Luter Jr. as much, resulting in fewer interceptions. No matter which way you dice it, during his stint at South Alabama, no one wanted to target Darrell Luter Jr. He allowed only 45.3% passes thrown at him to be completed across his whole entire time there. Additionally, he had 17 pass breakups and 5 interceptions across his time at South Alabama. So with his time at South Alabama wrapped up, scouts had the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into Darrell Luter Jr.'s game. Starting out, scouts noticed Darrell Luter Jr.'s physical attributes first and foremost on the field. He comes in at 6 foot, but maybe more impressively was his long limbs, because constantly you would see him get in the face of wide receivers and press them. But even outside of this, Darrell Luter Jr. has athleticism to be an effective NFL corner. His 40-yard dash is 4.46 seconds, and more impressively is his 10-yard split of 1.57 seconds. So when scouts looked at Darrell Luter Jr.'s film, they saw a cornerback with long arms and big hands. He also had extremely smooth hip and feet transitions from the press position. Luter Jr. would also continually make plays on the ball, being a true ball hawk during his time at South Alabama. But scouts did have some question marks, such as sometimes they would see Darrell Luter Jr. making too many arm tackles. They also wondered about how the level of competition would carry over to the pros. Regardless of these concerns, however, San Francisco decided to select Darrell Luter Jr. in the 5th round with pick 20 of the 2023 NFL Draft. And if I were to say whose pick this was, I would have to point out to Steve Wilks. I mean, when you're looking at Darrell Luter Jr., he's exactly what Steve Wilks wants. A long limb corner who can press wide receivers, but also has the ability to pick off the ball. And just like Steve Wilks unlocked the potential of Ambry Thomas, I think we could have a similar story on our hands in Darrell Luter Jr. So let's go ahead and dive into Darrell Luter Jr.'s Week 18 game film. Starting out in an area which scouts thought he could struggle in, his run defense. And one thing I didn't see a whole lot of in this game from Darrell Luter Jr. is arm tackles. Here, he goes head up with the running back, and while many may give him a hard time for getting pushed back, the fact is he's a 5th round rookie corner who didn't show any hesitation in the hole and will only add mass through his NFL career. One thing coaches have hinted on time and time again for Luter is how smart and mature he is for his age. Here, you see how that carries over to the field. He's able to read this play and helps make a tackle on a rolling Carson Wentz. For a 5th round rookie who was thought not to be the best at tackling, Luter Jr. frankly exhibits some great ability to stay aggressive but also under control. The most impressive for me though are plays like these, where Darrell Luter Jr. diagnoses the play and then triggers and meets the back in the hole. Even when he's not the one making the tackle though, he's right there for reinforcements. Meaning he's the perfect corner for San Francisco, one who's able to make those aggressive run fits. But then the question becomes, how's his pass coverage? Well, it turns out not too bad. Here facing a deep threat through Carson Wentz, he's able to be draped all over his man. And while this is a quick sack, I did enjoy watching his coverage on this play. A play that initially looked like Luter Jr.'s fault on the game actually turned out to be the safety's fault after watching the play. Here, Luter Jr. actually doesn't have deep coverage. The safety is supposed to help over the top. He just doesn't get there in time. On this next play, we get to see Darrell Luter Jr. in man coverage, and he's all over his man. While Carson Wentz does get a touchdown on this play, he has to go to someone other than Luter's man. Much like in his time in college, quarterbacks just decided no longer to target him. To dive into it a little bit more deeply, I love how Luter Jr. uses his long limbs to press this wide receiver when he's coming out of his break, and it's totally legal. Because as you can tell in the film, this is within the first 5 yards, meaning this is a great play by Luter. In zone coverage now, we see his ability to break on the ball, and as soon as this ball is released, he's there. So for zone coverage, I really don't think he could have played this too much better. Once again in zone coverage, facing a bubble screen, Luter is able to quickly trigger, and like he does in the run game, he doesn't show hesitation, but meets the ball carrier in the open field with a proper tackle. Overall, I don't think San Francisco could be more pleased. He looks like a great developmental piece that could develop not into a backup, but a true starter in this league. With that being said, these are just my thoughts on Darrell Luter Jr., and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. It would also mean a ton to me if you liked and subscribed, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.